Welcome to the Attitudeshield podcast, the true mental operating script rewriting program designed for those looking for a change from within. No more hype or sugar-coated promises. This is to-the-point guidance on how to change the way we think to grab the life we always wanted. Are you ready for the change? Now your host, Davidlparker.
Hey, welcome to the next episode of Attitudeshield. I'm Davidlparker. I'm glad you're here. I really am. I enjoy the fact we get together in the mornings, the afternoon, or the evenings. Heck, I don't know when we get together. I just know when I'm here. Right now, I'm here, and if I'm here and you're listening to me, then we're both here, right? So let's just get on with being here together. What did he just say? One will never know. Hey, we're going to talk a couple of times this week about trip and fall, not trip and fail. There's just some interesting things that I've been experiencing, watching, seeing, observing. I guess I said it all the same way in like 9 different ways. As I go through things and work with people and read things, I got a lot of books to read here because who am I not to read a book? I mean, come on. There's plenty of people out there who know stuff I don't know. But I came across something so powerful that I just had to share it. I just had to share it. I had to say, what can I do to make this message happen? And I just got to pull up this picture real quick and tell you something that I and I'm going to put it up here on the screen, right? Because it's really talking to me when I think about, that we are allowed to trip and fall, but not trip and fail. See, failure is not something that you should allow yourself just to do. So this picture that I'm about to pop up right here is going to give you the message of what I'm trying to do. And what it is, it's a picture of a plane, right? In World War II. You can see it right here. And it's full of holes. Now, these holes are where the bullets, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but are where the bullets went through the plane. The shrapnel went through the plane. The things ripped through it, all right? And they are, the plane landed. The plane made it. This plane here, right here, literally made it. It landed. Now, here's the difference in mindset. Here's the difference in understanding that sometimes things aren't exactly the way they look, aren't exactly the way they appear. And that is, it says, what's wrong with this picture, right? It's a World War II, and the U.S. is losing bombers over Europe. So the engineers examined planes that returned home and decided to reinforce them with armor in the areas where they spotted bullet holes. The little white dots in the picture, those are the holes. Makes sense, right? Now, luckily, a mathematician, right, said, no, these planes returned home safely. We need to reinforce the areas that there are no bullet holes because those planes didn't make it home. They got holes in the spots. This one doesn't have it. Now, in school, as I go through my master's in psychology, as I go through things that I learned, this is called survivorship bias, right? It's focusing on those that succeed versus those that fail. Survivorship bias is the difference between trip and fall and trip and fail. See, trip and fall is okay. We do it. I mean, heck, we had to learn how to walk. We trip and fell a lot. Trip and fail is not allowed, right? You have to be able to figure out the difference. You have to be able to look at it and go, how do we in our own life build survivorship bias and focus on succeeding. Focus on the things around us that are successful. Focus on being around people who are successful. Focus on being around people who are like-minded. So that when we trip, we have two options: fail or fall. And a lot of people are failing because the fall is so hard for them, they don't want to shake it off. They want to get tripped up by the littlest things, right? They want to use a stumbling block, a moment in time, to give themselves a softener, an excuse, a reason to quit. And then they want to use it as a different kind of terminology. I absolutely love to talk about in a positive manner, but to think about today's new working environment relationship. It's one of the reasons I'm going into IO psychology, is because the working relationship out there between employer and employee, between people, has gone to crap. Because politics and the media are showing us that if you don't like something, you just bash on the other person until they capitulate, until they give in, until the situation changes for you, not you change. That's survivorship bias in the wrong direction. All these employees nowadays talk about how terrible bosses are. Well, let me tell you something. Employees suck too. They can be crazy, bad, just hard to deal with. Managers suck. People are tough. If we don't have a good attitude shield, if our operating script isn't in the right manner, we won't be able to resist the urge to quit. Because did you know that the more you resist the urge to quit, the more power you gain within yourself? You're designed with a negative impulse electrical system. That's why negativity grows so fast. We've talked about this. You get around a person who's negative, and they'll infect the whole room. You get around a person who's positive, and some people make fun of them. It's easier to be negative than it is to be positive. Quitting is empowering the negative. Quitting is empowering the fail. See, I love how we give ourselves softeners. I love how we give ourselves waivers. I love how we give ourselves excuses. I did it. I do it. I've given myself too many excuses. So here's a perfect one. Here's a perfect battle of focusing on the fail and not the fall to get back up. This is very self-serving, but it is what happened. I've been going to school for years now, and I get pretty darn good grades. Right now, I got a 4.0 as I finish up my bachelor's. In my associates, I had a 3.49. As I've been cruising along, one of the things I've discovered is that supposedly I write pretty good. I've always got A's on everything I write. I'm in a class now where I didn't understand the instructions. I wrote a page, and the professor failed me. And then he referred me to a writing class saying I had no idea how to write. Now, I had to choose to fall or fail. I chose the fall, but it was a hard decision. Part of me wanted to hang it up and go, you know what? I'll take this class another semester. You know what? I got enough going on right now. I don't need this, right? But I have to resist the urge to quit, because in that urge, I get power to grow. I get the ability to overcome. I learn to face that which hits me hard in the mouth. Most people just quit. Just quit. So their fall becomes a fail. When you trip and fall and you don't rebound, you fail. It's that freaking simple. You ever notice there's no memes on the internet about trip and fail? Because people don't think it's very funny. They don't understand how to get over it. They want to say things like, don't be afraid to fail, be afraid not to try. Well, okay. Duh. But how do you deal with the fall that hurts? How do you deal with the fall that Makes you wonder what you're thinking about. Makes you wonder if you're going in the right direction. Makes you wonder if it's even worth it anymore. Because if you quit something, you fail, not fall. One of the people in my inner circle has a son, and I have a couple of daughters that trip and fail all the time because they quit. They quit people, they quit relationships, they quit jobs like there's no tomorrow. They quit dealing with the stress of life. And that's a fail every time you turn around. You have to be able to get back up. You have to be able to get the power back into yourself, resisting the quit. The problem is a negative mind will never give you a positive life. It can't happen. So what that means is every time you think about somebody becomes your truth. Now, I'm not talking the TV show host who decided that, it's okay to, tell people that it's your truth and that makes it true. No, that's called a perception. How you perceive something until you figure it out. Anyway, I don't want to go there. I'm telling you, I'm trying to help you not go down the fail road. The fail road is when you quit something. Like I applied to be the head coach at a local high school. I was not selected. My goal, my target, my aspirations at this place is to coach at this high school. I was offered an assistant coach position. Now, is that a trip and fall? It's definitely a trip and stumble. And why was it a stumble? Well, once again, because I don't have a teaching degree, because I don't teach high school. Somebody who does, regardless whether they're a better coach or not, regardless, this is just the way the system works, regardless of what they bring to the table, they get the, preferential treatment, and I understand it, because they have the teaching degree, because they can be a teacher. I've always found it very interesting. And I mean this, and I'm not being negative. I find this extremely interesting how Joe Smo, chemistry teacher, is automatically a better football coach than Billy Schmo, who doesn't have the degree. I've also found it very interesting, right, because this is about trip and falling and learning not to fail. I find it interesting that in one sport, like, for example, basketball at this high school has a coach for years now, not a teacher. But football has to have a teacher because the previous, just the way it works, I could go into becauses for a while. But the funny thing is that doesn't help you build teamwork. Now, remember, teamwork begins by building trust. Tripping and falling on your teamwork. I mean, think about it. There are situations in your life. There are times. Here I am meeting the coaching staff at the high school. The head coach has got a couple, 3 years, never been a head coach of a high school. Here they get, never been the head coach, but he is now. End of story. The guy sitting to his left, that'd have been me, has been the head coach. Anyway, and the guys in the room, so there's like almost no coaches. But the person in the room could have felt like a failure, me, because you're in the room and you have no job. You're basically the odd person out. But that would be a fail, see? I can trip and fall, I can trip and stumble, I can trip and break a finger, but I'm not going to trip and break my neck by failing. The only way I'm going to build teamwork with the people around me, see, here's where a lot of people trip and fall. And I hear about, a moment ago, I was talking about how employees today are such a trip because the whole world has decided that it's the employees that should be treated like solid gold and all the employers are crap. Well, guess what, employee? If you wasn't an employer, you wouldn't have anybody to treat you like crap. If that's how you truly believe the world happens to you, Mr. and Mrs. I trip and fail. Teamwork has to begin with trust. Or does it? Do I trust the new head coach? No. Why would I? We don't know each other. He just got picked by an outgoing superintendent that doesn't know me and has his own biased way of looking at stuff. And he is survivorship biased, was not to look at what succeeds, it was to look at what fails. See how I connected that? That's what happens to people. I don't care if they got a PhD, which the doctor, the superintendent who retired does. He was still looking at failureship, not survivorship, not the bias of survivorship. He was looking at what fails. Now, again, teamwork. It's my job. He's the head coach. It's my job to be on his team, not his job to be on mine. Now, nowadays, a lot of employees be like, well, that's some bullshit right there. It's like I have a team member right now that is not trustworthy. You can't depend on them. Forget it. They're going to let you down every time you depend on them. But it's my job to build a team around them. It's challenging. So I'm tripping and falling all the time. Tripping and falling, tripping and falling, tripping and falling, tripping and falling. But I'm never going to trip and fail. I'm not going to quit being the bar manager. I'm not going to quit being a football coach. I'm not going to quit doing Attitudeshield because I tripped and fell 57 times. It's how we get better. Now, the only thing that I'll give you a softener, if you will, about tripping and failing is walk away from things that give you bad vibes. When I'm interviewing somebody for a job and they give me a bad vibe, there's no deal. There's no need to explain or make sense of it. It's your life. When you sense something, trust those senses. When you sense that a person can't this or could that, do that. Follow your intuition. Trip and fall, but don't fail. Have no fear. None. You will find your way in your life. It's in your bones. Your future is in your soul. It's in your bones. You're going to find a way as long as you don't trip and fail. Fail, acronym, false energy, false first attempt in learning. Yep. Fear, false energy appearing real. Fail, first attempt in learning. Fail, first attempt in life. Don't turn it into the final attempt in living, because that's the fail. Walk away from it doesn't feel good. Have no fear, you'll find your way. And remember to tell yourself, no matter how hard it gets or how hard it's going to get, you're going to make it. You're going to beat things. You're going to win. You're going to trip and fall, and you're going to bounce right back up and keep going. We didn't do, Wednesday Wisdom with Eric Jackson last week because he was sick. He fell ill. You ever heard the comment, I failed ill? No. I fell ill. You notice on Facebook they have this thing called Fail Army, where it shows all these people falling and just smashing themselves. It shows all these, they're making fun of people's falls, but they call it fail. But see, that sends a psychological message that I want you to disregard. When you trip and fall, it's not trip and fail. Like on Facebook, it's not trip and fail. It's trip and fall. These videos are sending you a message. They're literally sending you a message. It's a psychology message. It's a subliminal message. It's a message right in front of your face that if you try something, you're going to fail. I picked up the guitar. There's one of them right there. Right? A couple weeks back. My fingertips are sore. I know I'm pressing on the strings too hard, but I'm still going. Have I tripped and fell? 1,000 times already because you strum a note and instead of it going, pretty sound, bling, right? It's more of a blank. And you're like, I'm like, oh, ow, hurt my ears. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop. Football camp starts tonight. Plan on being there, even though I'm just an assistant backup coach. So what? I tripped and fell. Now I'm going to stand back up and keep going forward because my target someday is to be the head coach. I've sent emails to colleges about being a coach, 20 years experience. You know what's funny about a lot of folks? You want to be treated with respect, but you give no respect. You want to be treated fairly, but you give no fairness. You want to be treated in certain ways, but you don't treat people in certain ways. You know what I mean? I sent a couple of emails. Now, this is not me being a pity party. It's just me observing something, and I want you to think about this. I sent a couple of emails out to college coaches about volunteering on the staff. What's wrong with getting an email back that says no thank you? Why just silence? Why just ignore things? Why? See, on their part, that's a trip and fail. They failed to be genuine to people. They failed to take a moment and acknowledge another person's existence. And that's the beginning of the message. Don't fail to acknowledge people's existence. Don't fail. Don't fail. You can fall, but don't you dare fail. Because in your failing, that's what's going to stop you. And Attitudeshield says no more failing. Do the right thing, everybody. Do the extra thing. Somebody sends you an email and the answer is no, just tell them no. Somebody calls you, wants to talk about something, you don't want to do it, just say no. Be polite. Don't fail to be a good person. Don't fail to be a polite person. Don't fail to actually be a human being. Don't fail by just going ahead and ignoring other people. Don't fail life because you think your emotions and how people treat you is 100 times more important than how you treat other people, because then that is your failure. It's how you treat other people. All right? And I will talk to you soon.
You've been listening to Attitudeshield, your double dose of espresso for your attitude. Check us out on Facebook and on the web at www.attitudeshield.com. Again, thanks for spending this time with us. Between now and when we talk again, keep those shields up, eyes on the target, and always be moving towards your dreams.